Welcome to Vital Life Stories, where we explore the deepest valleys of human struggle and the highest peaks of spiritual triumph. In a small village, where rain was a distant memory, young Omare stood watching his family's land turn into barren dust. Years of failed harvests had drained their savings, leaving his parents with empty bowls and eyes filled with a quiet despair. He felt completely abandoned by God, wondering why his prayers echoed into the empty sky without ever receiving a single answer. The ground beneath his feet was cracked and thirsty, mirroring the broken state of his own heart and his fading hope. Desperation led him to search his worn pockets, hoping to find a coin or perhaps a crumb of bread to eat. Instead of money, his trembling fingers pulled out a single, small corn seed, the very last remnant of a forgotten harvest. He sat with his head bowed low, staring at this tiny speck of potential, feeling the heavy weight of absolute failure. While he sat in sorrow, old Bhargav the carpenter approached him, his face lined with the deep wisdom of many years. The elder noticed the solitary seed resting in Omare's hand and sat beside him, offering a gentle smile of understanding comfort. He spoke softly, saying that sometimes God leaves us with only one thing to test if we still trust in Him. Just as a seed must be buried in darkness to grow, God often does His greatest work where we cannot see. Omare listened consistently, the old man's words sinking into his soul like water into dry earth, awakening a spark of faith. That night, sleep evaded him as he turned the seed over in his fingers, wrestling with fear and a tiny hope. As the first light of dawn broke, he made a choice to trust God one last time with everything he had. He took that solitary seed and walked with purpose to the driest, hardest patch of land that everyone else had abandoned. With bare hands, he dug into the stubborn soil and placed his last hope into the ground, covering it with prayer. The villagers passed by and laughed aloud, calling him a foolish dreamer for wasting effort on a patch of dead earth. Omare ignored their cruel mockery, focusing only on the invisible promise buried beneath the dirt, holding on to his renewed spiritual strength. Every single day, he carried heavy buckets of water from the distant well, pouring life onto a patch of barren dust. Days turned into weeks with absolutely no sign of life, yet he continued to water the empty ground with unwavering persistence. There were moments when doubt tried to whisper that he was crazy, but he remembered Bhargav's words about God's hidden work. He realized that watering the soil was not just gardening, it was an act of worship and a declaration of trust. He waited with patience, believing that what was happening under the surface was far more important than what he could see. Then one morning, a miracle broke the surface, as a vibrant green shoot pushed its way through the crusty, dry soil. Tears streamed down his face as he touched the tiny plant, realizing that his faith had finally been answered by life. The cornstalk grew faster and stronger than anything the village had ever seen, standing tall and proud against the blue sky. The people who had mocked him now stood in silence, amazed by the lush green life thriving in the dead zone. From that single seed came a harvest that defied logic, proving that the condition of the soil matters less than faith. We learn that a seed is never truly small. It is only our faith that is often too small to believe. His perseverance transformed the dead land into the most fertile ground, showing everyone the power of believing when hope seems lost. The old carpenter watched from a distance, nodding, knowing that Omare had learned the greatest lesson of life and spiritual trust. When you plant your last seed with true faith, all of heaven begins to move silently to bring about your victory. Even in the deepest silence, when nothing seems to be happening, God is orchestrating a master plan for your ultimate good. Omare shared his harvest and his story, teaching the village that hopelessness is just the beginning of a brand new miracle. Never despise the small beginnings or the dry seasons, for they are the canvas upon which God paints his masterpieces. Thank you for watching this journey of faith. Subscribe to Vital Life Stories for more inspiration. Keep believing and keep planting.